We return to our recent interview with the leader of the opposition, Don Polye. One of the basic evils, if you will, that causes what we're talking about is, I would call it the slash fund to members of parliament, the DSIPs. Yeah. You've been in government and you've, I think, given it to members, and it's still there today. That fund, I mean, at the outset, was that a right thing to do in the first place?
Yeah. Well, you're talking about this, the DSIP, the PSIP, and the LHS, and the other grants. Yeah. Well, John, to answer that question, my perception of the view is much broader than just the PSIP, DSIP, sure, or the LLGSIP. Broad in the sense that squandering of public monies, the people's wealth, is taking place everywhere. For instance,
is the DSIP doing it? Are these DSIP funds, are they being squandered?
I believe there's a level of squandering in DSIPs, PSIPs, LLGSIPs as well, because the general auditor has given reports 2 years ago, and I think they're also doing reports of the last 2 years.
But there's been a number of reports that said that money was not spending right.
Yes, there's no accountability.
No.
So there is reports that there's no accountability. What I'm saying here is that there's squandering of public funds everywhere, including the PSIPs.
Why don't we stop it?
Yes, the way
to stop it. Will you stop it?
Yes, I will stop it. The way to stop it is, how I said it in the answer to the first question. You need to have this very firm focus to building a just and fair society. That means you need to have the appropriate laws to support building that. You must have the institutions to support it, and you need to prosecute those that have abused the systems or squandered millions of kina. So what we need to do is we need to have a very strong drive there, and discipline and consistency at driving those values in Papua New Guinea. And I'm keen to do that. I'm committed to it. The opposition stands very ready to making sure we arrest, prosecute, convict those that have squandered millions of kina, regardless of who it is, but we also commit to mold, to shape, to nurture, and to culture a country that is based on just and fair society.
Okay. That is the end. Prosecution, getting people to account for whatever evils that they do, wrongs they do. But where it starts, I am looking at whether you as opposition or you as a leader would try to move to stop the DSIP, stop it altogether.
Well, what I will be doing...
Because politically it is very, very attractive to all of you. I know that, and it's very hard to stop that.
Correct. Well, it's to me, what I need to do when the opposition is in power is to ensure that there is prudent governance, there's good governance, the systems of delivery are strong. For instance, when Ghana releases the monies into the district accounts or to the provincial accounts, I would like to see the MPs do not get involved in holding a check or in touching that money. It should be systematized through the systems to deliver on the ground. The politician as the policy perspective, that's the decision. That's what I want to see.
You're not project manager, you're not accountant, you shouldn't be even touching the money.
You should not be touching the money. And in fact, when I was treasurer, I did create a system, and I discouraged MPs from holding any government funding. I do not want to see members of parliament going out there to a project and delivering checks and monies to the people. That encourages, if you like, the temptation to hold or abuse public resources. The other thing that I want to do is to strengthen the systems of delivery between the Waigani, the provincial systems, and the LLG systems. The structures in the local level government systems, in the district level, in the provincial level, that are not filled by officers. There's lack of capacity and intellect. We need to train and make sure we build the capacity, so you've got proper managers there.
The DDA?
The District Development Authority? That's another matter at present. I'll come to that later. But on the first question as to how will we ensure that the monies are spent to where it's supposed to be spent, it really depends on the systems that are in place, and we must improve the systems of delivery and ensuring there are not loopholes for corruption. The other thing too is when I talk about training people and building capacity and intellect, the custodians of those systems are very important, because to corrupt a system or to abuse an office, it is the person who is in charge of it plus the system itself.
Yeah.
We've got to close the loopholes in the system,
Okay.
but train proper people, competent people, but people with fit and proper people to occupy those positions where the DSIP, PSIPs, and the LGSIPs are delivered to the people. The funds are good. They're not bad. They're good to give that that empowerment down to the local people, to the grassroots, but it should be done through a good governance system. And that's what's lacking today.
But isn't the DDA supposed to be that mechanism?
The District Development Authority...
You voted for it, didn't you?
The District Development Authority in the first place, yes.
Yes.
But at the moment what has happened is there's some review being done,
Okay.
John, and it needs a lot of improvement to it. At the moment the powers of the DDA is such that the local MP, it chairs the District Development Authority board, makes a decision, and the Chief Executive Officer and the administration team to implement the projects. But the problem is that then the authority to override the decisions of the DDA lies with the Minister for Provincial Affairs, so intergovernmental relations. So there are some areas of power and all that probably might see a conflict, and you might not get work on the ground done effectively as you'd want to.
Well,
but these are some controversial areas there.
Why don't we let the civil service, the professionals
Yes,
on the
correct.
ground, politicians, take your hands away from these things?
I
Why
agree.
are you into it?
I agree. I agree with you. The politician should be a legislator, a policy maker, decision maker, but the implementation, execution of strategies should be done by the public servant. And I agree entirely. That's the opposition's view.
Okay.
In fact, when I was at Treasury, I did that. I did create a system in the Treasury linking to all the provinces and the districts to ensuring the money, any funds that are meant for the development in those districts and in the LLGs should be channeled through the system. The politician should not put his or her hands.
Interesting views from the leader of the opposition, Don Polye. We'll be back with more after this break.